Today, we're talking about Starfield. Now, we've got a lot of info to cover and no time to waste, so let's get to it. Ladies and gentlemen, Starfield has arrived. Early access for the game is currently running, and Starfield will go live to everyone on September 6th. But is it any good? Is it worth that $70 price tag? That is the ultimate question, which is becoming increasingly difficult to answer in this day and age. Exactly who can you trust when attempting to answer this question and make an informed purchase? What about the Games Studios? Starfield is created by Bethesda Game Studios, and whatever else you say about Bethesda, you do have to give them this. Bethesda are masters at marketing. They absolutely know how to hype up their game. They will say and do anything necessary to sell their product and get their hands on your hard-earned money. They will even go as far as to blatantly lie to their potential customers.
We always start with the world, and this time it features all new rendering, lighting, and landscape technology. It allows us to have 16 times the detail. It allows us to have 16 times the detail. 16 times the detail.
16 times the detail.
So, no, you can't trust the game studios to tell you the whole truth about their game. Well, what about games journalists? It is their job to report on games and tell gamers the truth, right? Sadly, no. Games journalism, like much journalism nowadays, is dead. All they really care about is access. It works like this. Games journalists are incentivized to be first. The sooner they can get their content out there, the more eyeballs they can attract. The more eyeballs they attract, the more clicks they receive. The more clicks they receive, the more revenue they can generate. So how do they ensure that they can be first? By getting early access from the studios. But this comes with strings attached. Piss off those studios by being completely honest, and you get blacklisted by the studios and lose that oh so precious access. In turn, losing their edge in being first, which means less revenue. Now, the problems with games journalism goes much deeper, but the long and short of things is this. Games journalists are not really trustworthy. Well, what about internet chatter? The people online will tell the truth, right? Oh, no. The internet is awful. On one side, you've got the PlayStation fanboys doing everything they can to pan Starfield and make it out to be a total disaster. They jump on every little thing they can to dunk on this game, taking statements out of context, twisting words, and sometimes straight up lying, all in an attempt to make this game look as horrible as possible, simply for having the audacity of being an Xbox exclusive and daring to refuse to release the game immediately to their beloved PlayStation console. On the other side, you have the Xbox fanboys, hyping this game up like it is the greatest game ever made, and we mere mortals are not worthy to receive such a masterpiece from God Emperor Todd Howard. All fall to your knees and worship his Toddship. Todd the Infallible, he can do no wrong, and it is blasphemy to question the God that is Todd. Well, that's bullshit.
We always start with the world, and this time it features all new rendering, lighting, and landscape technology. It allows us to have 16 times the detail. It allows us to have 16 times the detail. 16 times the detail.
16 times the detail.
How quickly they forget the absolute dumpster fire that was Fallout 76. And no, I will not forget Fallout 76 and the unmitigated disaster that it was. I will not give Bethesda a pass on that one. Well, what about online reviewers? While some of them do a pretty good job and give relatively accurate assessments, there is always a line that they cannot or will not cross. This is because they suffer from the same afflictions as games journalists. the fear of losing that early access. Take the criticism too far, even if the game deserves the criticism, and they run the risk of being blacklisted by the studios and losing out on those free review copies and the opportunity to get their stuff out first. This leaves the average gamer just shaking their heads asking, who can I trust? I have neither the time nor the resources to test out each of these games for myself, and the sources I used to turn to in order to make an informed decision all have their own personal agendas wedged into their commentary and reviews. It is getting harder and harder to find accurate and useful information these days. So, who can you trust? Well, the answer is nobody. And, in a way, everybody. Allow me to explain. There is no single source that is completely trustworthy. So the best approach I've found is to listen to as much info as I can and recognize the patterns in the aggregate of information. By taking that approach, you can usually piece together a pretty good picture of the truth. And that is exactly what I've done when evaluating Starfield and whether or not it will be a good buy. Here is what I have found. Starfield appears to be the quintessential Bethesda game. If you are a fan of the traditional Bethesda formula, you will probably enjoy Starfield. However, Starfield is not simply a copy-paste of the Fallout franchise and/or the Elder Scrolls series. It is a brand new IP with its own flavor. While the traditional Bethesda foundation is present, Starfield has its own unique features that set it apart from Fallout and the Elder Scrolls. For instance, exploration is sort of turned on its head. Instead of exploration driving and opening up quest lines, the quest lines will facilitate most of the exploration in Starfield. And speaking of quest lines, they seem to be pretty good. Highly compelling with several twists and turns that will keep the player enthralled. That is, once you actually get into the meat of the quest lines. It seems that they may take a bit of time to pick up and get going. However, that time will ultimately be worth it in the end. Starfield also has features such as shipbuilding and outpost construction, but these features are not mandatory. You can spend as much or as little time on these features as you wish. It is completely up to you and how you choose to approach the game. And it seems that in Starfield there are several viable playstyles or ways to approach the game. Starfield seems to have a robust skill system that allows the player to tailor their experience how they wish. It is a true RPG through and through. Want to play a stealthy sniper? Go for it. Want to take a more diplomatic approach to the game? Cool. Want to go in guns a-blazing? There is a path for that style as well. And as for the gunplay, it seems to be an improvement from previous Bethesda titles. While it may not be on par with the best first-person shooters on the market, compared to, say, Fallout 4, it does seem to be better. Now, with all that being said, the bottom line is this. If you are a fan of the traditional Bethesda Game Studios formula, you will probably enjoy Starfield. If that formula is not your cup of tea, you probably won't. Starfield is not perfect. Far from it, in fact. However, it does seem to hit all of the right notes for me. I am a fan of the traditional Bethesda formula, and this game appears to be right up my alley. So when the game is released on September 6th, I'm gonna jump in and give it a go. Now, whether or not you all should jump in as well is not for me to decide. Take the info I provided here and weigh it accordingly. While I personally believe Starfield will offer me an enjoyable and entertaining gameplay experience, I could also be completely wrong. Only time will tell, and I will provide updates along the way. As the old saying goes, hope for the best, but prepare for the worst. Rest assured that I will give you all my honest opinion on Starfield. The good, the bad, and the ugly. But for now, this is Savin saying thank you, ladies and gentlemen, and I'll catch you in the next one.